mereka-mereka yang memerlukan bantuan. Senang hatinya yang dikasihi sekalian, kita akan teruskan pidato kita, pidato aspirasi Advokata Keamanan Sejagat bersama dengan Puan Usha Kulasegaran, aktivis kemanusiaan antarabangsa. Saya ingin tekankan kepada tuan-tuan di luar sana yang ingin menyumbang, boleh tekan www.pedulipalestine.com. Saya ulang sekali lagi, www.pedulipalestine.com, sama menyumbang bersama dengan My Aqsa Defenders untuk kita bantu umat Islam serta mereka yang memerlukan bantuan di Palestin, insyaAllah. Terima kasih Tuan Nadir. Kita teruskan dengan Puan Usha Kulasegaran, insyaAllah. Silakan Puan Usha.
Terima kasih. Boleh dengar tak? Ya, boleh dengar.
Boleh Puan, jelas.
Okay. Terima kasih. Hari ini, today is, I teruskan dalam bahasa English ya. Today, 29th of May, is a very important day. We are commemorating the UN Peacekeeping Forces Day. Malaysia is a very respected member of the UN, and today we are commemorating the United Nations Peacekeeping Forces. Malaysia has peacekeeping forces in many different parts of the world. First and foremost, I'd like to introduce myself. I am a lawyer and human rights activist. I'm also do international legal work as well and affiliated with lots of international legal organizations. But for this purpose, I want to thank my good friend, Saudara Tuan Faisal, who has invited me, President of ABIM, who has invited me to speak today briefly on international law with regards to this aspect of the UN peacekeeping forces and the aspect on Palestine itself. I thank you, Tuan Faisal, for this. It's a huge honor to speak today. I certainly support Tuan Faisal in his concept of Bangsa Malaysia, Malaysia for all, and for that purpose and reason I am here. Thank you very much. Okay, we will move on. First and foremost, let's just put it this way. The Palestinian situation has been going on for too long. International legal experts have come up with so many different working papers. We know that under international law, the current organizations that deal primarily with this issue, first and foremost, of course, is the United Nations. And right now, we have the International Criminal Court, which has also come in. Now, when it comes to the International Criminal Court, very pleased to say that international law has been very, very proactive in this situation. In March this year, the Office of the Prosecutor, Fatou Bensouda, she announced very clearly that the Office of the Prosecutor of the ICC will be conducting and launching investigations into crimes which have been committed in Palestine. Now, what does this mean? Now, under the Rome Statute of the International Criminal Court, this means that the possible 4 major crimes which we are talking about are war crimes, genocide, crimes of aggression, and crimes against humanity. When they say they're going to launch investigation, it means they're going to launch investigation into possible international war crimes and international criminal activity that has occurred. And the period that Fatou has, the OTP office has set out is from the period of 2014, which is the CAS-led operation, right until today and ongoing. So that is a very, very important announcement. We have been waiting a very long time for us as international practitioners and people who actually deal with the international criminal law scene. We have been waiting a very long time. So she has finally put pen to paper. They've agreed and they are launching the investigation into this. Now, the United Nations itself, and of course that's ongoing. And I also want to say that as far as the ICC is concerned, we're going to be having a new prosecutor coming month in June, and we expect the new prosecutor to also continue with the good work of the previous prosecutor. Firstly, the second thing now on the UN itself, we all know that the UN has been set up after World War II, and straight after World War II, first and foremost, it was the League of Nations. It is now the United Nations. Now, the unfortunate aspect of the United Nations, I would say, and I really clearly say that, and I think every international legal person would say this, the Charter of the UN has set it up in such a way that you have the UN Security Council and you have the UN General Assembly. Security Council in terms of the issue of Palestine, yes, a lot of resolutions have come out from the Security Council. However, a lot of it has also been blatantly disregarded. We are thankful that the UN General Assembly has been very, very, very proactive, and the UN General Assembly has actually set up a special committee to deal with Palestinian issues, and it's called the Committee for the Inalienable Rights of the Palestinians. So there is a committee set up by the UNGA resolution, which is the UN General Assembly resolution, setting up this committee, and it is very active, and we deal with them also. We invited them actually over 2 years ago to give a conference here, and hopefully when the lockdown is lifted, we will again have them again here for another conference on this very important issue. Now, moving forward, what currently has happened, I am very pleased to say that while international law has been, while the crimes have been ongoing, the UN has not sat still. Now, just a day ago, 2 days ago, on the 27th of May, the UN Human Rights Council has voted to launch an international investigation into violations during the 11-day conflict between Israel and Palestine. By majority vote, they made it very clear that possible war crimes have been committed by Israel. So when they start launching that investigation, it means it, and they voted for it, and by majority, the investigations will be launched. You will have papers on that, and investigation papers will be done. And the mandate there is to investigate possible war crimes which have been committed by Israel into the 11-day war which we recently have. Bearing in mind, of course, we are having a ceasefire now. However, a ceasefire is just a ceasefire of the hostilities. It doesn't mean the war is over. The war is still very much there. Now, when it comes to Palestine, the unfortunate thing about this is that while the UN General Assembly, the UN Human Rights Council has been very, very active, more has to be done in terms of the actual use of force. Armed conflict is still ongoing as we know it in international law, and that is something that has to be met. The whole issue and the fracas in international law is that the use of force by one state, which is Israel, is disproportionate to the use of force by the state of Palestine. And this is something that has to be really dealt with. And this is something that there have been several papers, and as we speak, even right now, behind closed doors, even at the UN, they are trying to work out. However, as you know, the veto vote at the end of the day really is what carries this whole thing through. So which is why there's another movement, of course, to try to, and this has been ongoing for a very long time, the UN Security Council and the voting process and the right to veto. That's another thing which has to be really discussed, but that's a discussion for another day. Now, having said that, another thing which is the issue of settlements. Let's just say under international law, there are many important issues, core issues with regards to the Palestinian situation which has arisen from 1948, spanning 70 years. It's a travesty of justice. The main and major issues are settlements, the issue of Jerusalem, the issue of borders and the right of return, and also the issue of prisoners. These are some of the core issues that international legal experts have come in. Now, the main issue right now that we have been dealing with, as we've seen in the Sheikh Jarrah incident, the issue of settlements. Now, on the 7th of May, very recently, the UN has made it very, very clear that the issue of settlements and annexation of any Palestinian territory is in breach of international law. And again, possible war crimes are deemed to be committed because they have come out very, very strongly to say very clearly that Israel must call off all forced evictions in the Israeli annexed state of the East Jerusalem, as the warning is this can amount to war crimes. So the UN recognizes East Jerusalem as belonging to Palestine. So therefore, if we're going to talk about two-state solution, they want that position preserved. They want that position preserved. The state of the West Bank and Gaza and East Jerusalem, and especially the Al-Aqsa Mosque, that whole territory, the UN recognizes it, and the UN General Assembly especially has set up to take notice. And for that, they consider that Israel is very much the aggressor nation. That is certainly not up for debate. Debate only in terms of certain aspects where they talk about the use of force by Hamas and so on. But when you talk about the use of force, generally, the use of force is disproportionate, because the use of force by one party, which is the State of Israel, is disproportionate to the use of force by the State of Palestine. Now, having said that, I want to say very clearly to round this off, while Malaysia has an excellent track record of peacekeeping, Malaysia is a peace-loving nation, and we have ratified the Geneva Conventions. I want to take this opportunity to urge our own Malaysian government to consider the ratification of the United Nations Convention Against Torture, UN-CAT, which is very important, and also the Rome Statute of the International Criminal Court, as we are supporting not only the Palestinian situation, we're supporting the Myanmar situation. Malaysia is all for peace. Malaysia must consider and should consider the ratification of the UN Convention Against Torture and the Rome Statute of the International Criminal Court. And with that, because I've told that I can only speak for about 5 minutes, lots more to say. I will wrap up there. Thank you very much. And also I want to say that we are holding a webinar entitled Palestine and International Justice on Monday. And I invite all of you to join it. If you've not registered, you can watch it on Facebook Live. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. I hand it back to you.
Okay,